You're listening to Birthing Hope, a podcast designed to inspire women to create hope-filled lives in mind, body, and spirit. Living a hope-filled life means allowing light to be birthed in dark places. And although the world is full of darkness, you are pregnant with light. Join me every other Wednesday as I have real conversations with inspiring women designed to encourage you to push through the darkness and birth hope in your life and in the lives of those around you. My name is Donloyn LeDuff Gadson. I am a Christ follower, author, artist, wife, and mom of 8. I will be your host and midwife as we take on the task of shining our lights and birthing hope into a dimly lit world. We've got hope to birth. Time to push. Hello, Hope Birthers, and welcome to episode 4 of the Birthing Hope podcast. If you've been hanging with me for this long, then I just want to say thank you and tell you that I value you. I value your presence. I value your attention. And I thank you for tuning in each time there is a new podcast episode. I thank you for downloading. I thank you for checking out the bonus content that has been the audio versions, the narrated versions of the blog posts. Thank you so very much. I value you. Today, I have you ladies all to myself. So I'm going to be stingy with you guys today and with your attention today. Keep you to myself, and here's why. My new book, Catching Fireflies, a 7-step poetic guide to capturing glimmers of hope, was just released on September 20th. It came out 4 days early, ahead of schedule. It was a pleasant surprise. I was so excited and absolutely elated. Well, with the release of the book, I have been in a very reflective mood, a reflective mindset over the last few days. And I am just noticing how things are really coming full circle. And I want to spend a little time with all of you amazing women and talk about that and share about that, because I think there are some lessons and some important things to glean from all of this. I think it's really important to start at the beginning with how this book came to be in order to explain and describe what I mean by this being really a full circle moment. My year, January 2020, it started with the word hope. And as you know, here at Birthing Hope, that's what we're all about. We are all about spreading hope, inspiring hope, sharing messages and stories about hope, living a hope-filled life, and encouraging those around us to live hope-filled lives as well. Well, my year began with the word hope. That was my word of the year. That was the word that God gave me as my focus word for the year. And I was cruising along in hope. I think I kind of began to blend the meaning of joy with hope. And because things were going so beautifully. And hope, it is a beautiful word, right? But really, hope is that thing that we must hold on to when there's darkness around. Hope is, it is us, that expectation of what can happen, what we are praying for, what we're wishing for, what we're working for, what we are pressing towards. It's that glimmer of light in the darkness, that thing that we know we will eventually be able to reach out and grab, but it's not quite there yet. And so my year began with that word hope. It also began with me teaching about hope at a women's conference. And then I found out I was pregnant with Hope because we decided that we were going to name the baby Hope. Well, in March 1st of this year, things turned around very quickly from what began as a very seemingly happy, hope-filled, joyful, rejoicing, just a year that was just full of so much beautiful promise, seemed to quickly turn around and all the lights went out. Everything around me, it just turned dark and despair. We lost our baby on March 1st of 2020 of this year. This year, I guess, has dealt a lot of people a heavy hand. And as we know, with everything that we are going through in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, everything that we are going through on our social front, I mean, in just society, there's so much darkness, so much despair, a lot of division and fighting and ugliness in the world right now around us. And then we have our personal lives to deal with. So here I was at the beginning of COVID-19 hitting the United States, and I was hit with devastation through this miscarriage, losing our baby, losing hope. And that's what the miscarriage catapulted me into. Even while I'd want to tell you guys this story, the day that I started to lose the baby, I was still holding on to hope then. I was like, okay, this is normal. Sometimes women experience a little spotting. I'll call the doctor. I'll let them know. I'll talk with them and just make sure that they know what's going on, but I am just fine. I was at the mall shopping with my daughter for new maternity clothes because I was starting to grow out of all of my clothing. And so here I am preparing and buying things for the longevity and for the future of my pregnancy. Meanwhile, it's the beginnings of the miscarriage. The day that things really got heavy and I completely lost the baby, I was washing and blow drying and styling my younger daughter's hair. And I kept having to leave, obviously, to go to the bathroom. I was in pain. I was uncomfortable, but I was determined that I'm not losing this baby because I have a promise of hope. God has already spoken this word to me this year. There's no way that I'm losing this baby. I'm believing. I'm standing on faith. I'm holding on to this word. I mean, when I tell you, my faith was much larger than the size of a mustard seed. There was no way. I was like, I know what it is that I am seeing in the natural, but I'm not losing this baby. This is not what's happening. Well, that was a Sunday. And on Monday, I had a doctor's appointment to go in so that they could check and see all that was going on. And even walking in to the doctor's office, going into the ultrasound, I was determined that baby is going to still be there. I'm still carrying hope. I'm still carrying that promise of hope. There's no way that my baby is gone. But sadly, as you know, she was gone. And that just sent me and catapulted me into this period of darkness. I was confused. I was upset. I was angry. I was rebellious. I had questions. I had a lot of serious questions, a lot of deep questions. I was just not certain about what my future relationship with God even looked like, because I was like, your word says this. And I did it, and I believed, and I had faith. I had faith that could move mountains, and it did not come to pass. What I was hoping for, what I was believing for, what I was standing on faith for, It didn't come to pass, God. What is happening? This is what you said, but this is not what happened. I had deep, deep questions because I was in a deep place of hurt and in a deep darkness and a lot of despair. Well, in asking those questions, I just want to tell you, when you have questions, ask God. Be honest with him. He already knows what you're thinking and what you're feeling. Invite him into it by being honest with him. Not disrespectful, but honest, and say, God, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. I do not understand. That honesty led to my healing, which ultimately led to me recapturing and reclaiming and finding hope again. That was his answer to me anyway. When I was asking all of these questions, he spoke to me and said, hope. And I was like, okay, you gave me that word at the beginning of the year. And now I'm going through all this darkness. And now you're speaking that word to me again. And the light came on. The firefly flew in, catching fireflies. The little glimmer of hope flew in. And it was like, okay, it's now. It's right here and now, in these moments, in these dark moments, in these times of desolation and despair. These are the times that I truly need to be holding on to hope, tapping into hope, holding on to hope all the more. And so I did. And my healing came through the 7 steps that I share with you in the book, Catching Fireflies. This book is a 7-step poetic guide to capturing glimmers of hope. These are the 7 steps that I went through. I literally walked through each of these steps myself. And at the end of it, I knew there was no way that I could keep this to myself. I have to share this. I have to put this out into the world. I need to make sure that my sisters out there, that other women out there know how to reclaim and recapture and find and grasp and hold on to hope with all that they have, how to open that crack so that light can begin to pierce the darkness that you're walking through and that you're going through. And during that time of healing, I did a lot of writing. I did some sketching, and I found that I began to just come out of that place of darkness. And it was a beautiful thing. It was an amazing thing. And it was all God. It was all Him. He was doing that. And so now that I have recaptured hope, I'm finding myself back where I was at the beginning of the year, teaching about hope, sharing and inspiring others to find hope, to hold on to hope. Because if we don't have hope, we're completely lost, completely lost. It's vital that we hang on to hope. The world right now, we are in desperate need of hope. All you have to do is turn on the news, read the paper, go on social media, and you will see it is painfully obvious and painfully clear that people need hope. Right now, there are so many people that are walking through so many different circumstances of darkness. And while this book, Catching Fireflies, was inspired from my period of darkness with the miscarriage, believe me, I've been through many periods of darkness in my life. And I know that there will come more times of darkness, of times where I'm going to need to hang on to hope with all my might. Because Jesus said, in this life, we will have trouble, but be encouraged. He has overcome the world. In this world, we will have trouble. So there are people right now that are experiencing darkness, that are experiencing despair, that are walking through their night seasons for a plethora of reasons, whether it is social injustice, whether they've lost a job, whether they've lost a loved one to COVID-19, whether they are going through darkness or despair in their marriage, in their homes, relationships with their children, on their jobs. Women right now are especially in need of hope. We go through a lot. We carry a lot on our shoulders. There's a lot that's on our plates. Oftentimes we are feeling very discouraged, overwhelmed, desolate, depressed, full of angst and anxiety, filled with trouble and worry. Women go through that on another level than men do. I'm not saying that men do not experience these things. I'm just saying that it's on another level. There are things that women go through in terms of feeling despair and feeling hopelessness and feeling lost and feeling confused because of the many hats that we do have to wear. I've recently have had several friends reach out to me because of the hopelessness and the despair. And one friend even described it herself as darkness. She used that word because of many different reasons. One, it's her job. The things that are happening on her job that are keeping her up at night. Another has to do with friendship. A long-term friendship that has completely flipped upside down and has become something that she did not expect. And then there was another lady who she's still mourning and still grieving because of the loss of a child. So women are hurting right now. People are going through times where they're desperate for just a peak of light, for just a little reprieve from the darkness that they are walking through and that they're experiencing. It's available. It is available. And this has just been this experience for me to go from just March, 6 months ago, feeling completely lost and completely confused, to now sitting here talking with you, sharing with you. Birthing Hope came from that dark situation. The Birthing Hope podcast came from that dark situation. This book, Catching Fireflies, has come from that dark situation. And it's amazing to me. This week, I would have been giving birth. September 24th was the date for the release of the book because that was my due date. So this week, I would have, at some point in time during this week, I would have had a brand new baby in my arms, rocking her, taking care of her, going into mom mode. But that wasn't in the cards. That wasn't what God had for me. It didn't work out that way. But instead, He has still birthed hope through me. And here I am, sitting before you, talking about hope. I've just birthed a new book into the world. It's my third book baby. And it's like, okay, although I don't have a child in my arms, what I am is I've become a vessel. I've become a womb for God and for His purposes, so that now I have birthed forth hope, just in a different way. And hopefully it will inspire you, whomever is listening, that will inspire you to birth hope in your life, to birth hope in your dark situation, to help another woman birth hope in her life in whatever night season she may be going through. And that has a ripple effect. That is still legacy. This is still legacy. It can be legacy for you. And so my takeaway from this entire experience, from this entire full circle moment, starting off in January, teaching about hope, to then being pregnant with hope, to then losing hope, to then recapturing hope, to now teaching and sharing and inspiring about hope again. Some of my takeaways from this experience is, number one, the power of voice. Our voices are powerful. The messages that we have to share are powerful. We have the power in our mouths to inspire others, to encourage others, to make real change, to speak and share hope-filled messages with the world. Our mouths, the power in our voices, it's tremendous. And the power and the significance of our stories. You guys, our stories contain and carry so much hope. Hope is always there. Hope is always there. Hope, faith, and love. Those three things remain no matter what. There will always be hope. There is hope in your story. There is hope in your darkness. You just have to position yourself to find it. You have to position yourself to see it. You have to position yourself to see those fireflies, those glimmers of hope in the darkness. I mean, when you go out and you try to look for and catch fireflies, when do you go? You go when it's dark. When it's dark is when you're going to see those little glimmers of hope. And there's so much hope and power in our stories. And when we give voice to our stories, when we share our testimonies, when we see the hope and we catch the hope, and then we share that with others, we make an impact. We make a powerful impact on this world. And we begin sending out messages of hope. And as we model that and we do that for others, whoever, even if it's just one person that you inspire, that one person can go on to do it and model it for someone else. And then whoever they've modeled it for can go on until we've created this amazing ripple effect of hope, where we are spreading hope. And then hope can begin to become this next pandemic and just sweep across the nation and sweep across the globe. Another takeaway is the importance of giving God your yes. In giving God our yes, sometimes we are called to darkness. Sometimes giving God our yes means going through a time of trouble. It means going through despair. It means walking through some desolation, some tests, and some trials. Because in order to go from faith to faith and glory to glory, in order to become stronger in Him, in order to become more courageous, in order to become a strong vessel that He can use, we will go through some tests, things that are meant to strengthen us, things that are meant to produce endurance in us, where it's like, I can persevere, I can press through. Will you give God your honest and complete yes, no matter what it is, even if that means needing to walk through a time of darkness that will train you, a training ground, so to speak. I'm reminded of Hosea chapter 2, verses 14 and 15. And this scripture was my life back in March. It reads, "Therefore I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. There I will give her back vineyards and make the valley of Acre, which means trouble, and make the valley of Acre a door of hope. Sometimes in giving God our yes, it means we will be lured into the wilderness. It means we will be lured into a darkness. It means we will be taken into the valley, that we will be taken into a desert season, that we will be taken into a night season. But if God has brought you to a time of darkness, He will minister to you while you're there. He will speak tenderly to you while you're there, and He will give you back all that you lost and make that valley of trouble that you had to walk through a door of hope. So I just say to you that whatever it is that you're going through, you are experiencing it and you're walking through it for a reason. It is going to prepare you. If you give God your yes, He will use whatever darkness you are going through to train you, to take you from faith to faith, to take you from glory to glory, to take you higher in Him, to take you deeper in the things of Him, to take you to whatever it is that He has for you next, however it is that He's wanting to use you, your gifting, your talents, or your anointing, whatever it is that He's wanting to do through you. There are lessons that are there in your darkness. There is hope that is there in your darkness. Even I am reminded of Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41, when Jesus calmed the storm. Jesus said to the disciples, let's go to the other side. Let's go to the other side of the lake. This was Jesus. He knew that there was going to be a storm. So there was a storm. He was fast asleep. The disciples thought they were going to die. They were like, Master, how are you sleeping through this? Are you going to just let us die out here? And Jesus spoke to the storm. He said, peace, be still. And He quieted the storm. And when He did that, their response was, who is this that even the winds and waves obey Him? They had a fresh revelation of who God was. Our storms, our darkness, the things that He calls us to, because please notice He said, let's go to the other side. Come on, daughter. Let's go higher in this. Let's go deeper in this. Let me take you further in your walk with me. I want to do something through you. Come on with me to the other side. And when you give the Lord your yes, you're going to go through a storm. You're going to go through some darkness. You're going to go through some trouble. But when you go through that, and when you are there, and you are relying on Him, and you are holding on to hope, and you are believing Him in the midst of your darkness, He will give you a fresh revelation of who He is. He will show up. He will send glimmers of light into your darkness. He will be there for you. That is what Catching Fireflies is all about. That is what this new book, this new release has literally been about. It's about finding those glimmers of hope in our dark seasons, finding glimmers of hope in the night, allowing Him to use whatever darkness it is that you are experiencing and walking through, and teaching you and showing you how to hang on to hope. And when He carries you through the other side, when you hold on to hope, when you learn to catch those fireflies, when you learn to recapture the hope in your life, you will see that He will bring you through to the other side. And it will be a beautiful, beautiful experience, and very likely a full circle moment for you as well. So I just thank you for joining me and listening as I kept you selfishly to myself on this episode. And if you want to check out the book, I would love it. You could head over to Amazon.com And you can catch yourself or grab yourself a copy of Catching Fireflies, a 7-step poetic guide to capturing glimmers of hope. It's available on Amazon.com and on birthinghope.com in our shop. There is a matching journal that can go along with the book. So I would love it if you guys would scoot over to birthinghope.com as well, and you can check out that pretty precious little journal that will go right along with it, because as you are working through the steps in the book, as you are moving through and trying to recapture those glimmers of hope in your life, I want you to remember that writing is healing. It's important to journal your experience, journal as you are going through the process so that you can see where it is you were and where it is that you end up. So I just thank you for tuning in to this week's episode, and I pray it blesses you. And I would love for you to go and get a copy of the book. I know it will bless you because those steps came directly from God. So until next time, you guys take care, God bless, and remember to create your best hope-filled life. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Birthing Hope podcast. If you know an inspirational woman whose life and experiences carry a message of hope, then email me at creator@birthinghope.com. I'd love to invite her to the conversation, or perhaps you are that woman. Also, visit the website at birthinghope.com. There, you'll find links to subscribe and download so you'll never miss an episode. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Birthing Hope Official, and remember, subscribe to this channel. Until next time, remember, create your best hope-filled life.